Hello everyone, my name is John Everett. I couldn't make it out in person today for my time slot. I'm actually out scanning at the moment. I'm sure you've heard plenty about that today. I'm bringing you something new here. But in my free time, I still orbit the Historic Preservation Institute, and although I do not have any official title, I still like to bring fun ideas because I know the students can put it to good use and they have the resources to do so. Today, I'm going to introduce a fun piece of tech I found that captured my attention a few months ago. I think this truly takes architectural visualization to the next level of blending our realities. That's virtual production. I hope you all spotted the projection box that the students constructed, and if you haven't, I would really encourage you to go take a look after this presentation. But I wanted to give you all a brief background on the rendering technology that you're looking at on screen there. To start, I'm sure you're all familiar with virtual reality. The goggles, the headset. It's been around for more than a decade now, and even though the goggles are getting more and more advanced, the market and the usefulness of it is plateauing. I feel it's turned into a bit of a novelty. Evidence shows even a titan like Apple is having much difficulty with sales for their Apple Vision Pro, released just a few months ago. And this is a criticism coming from someone who owns 2 pairs of headsets. They are gathering dust in my closet. This is an actual picture. So why is that? The technology is the work of science fiction. You can feel the space of your design at full scale before it's even built. You can venture to far out digital worlds. It was going to take architectural visualization by storm. Why hasn't it? Well, I've narrowed the interest down to 2 very simple reasons. Number 1, it's clumsy. The headsets are a pain. You constantly have to get it in focus every time you switch users. And if you use it for a while and take it off, you have raccoon rings, strained eyes, and a bad head of hair. Number 2, it's hard to share unless you have a dozen headsets and computers. Sure, you can watch the feed on the TV, but it's twitching to the user's every head movement. And all you're thinking is, when is my turn? So, how can we hijack viewers' reality without strapping LED screens to their eyes? How can we make this transition between reality to these digital experiments less abrupt? The answer is just make the headset bigger, 1,000 times bigger. The industry term for this is virtual production. If you've seen any movie or show with CGI from the past 5 years, chances are they use this. As CGI has gotten so photorealistic, studios realized they could save a ton of time and money by building all their background sets in rendering software like Unreal Engine, and then displaying it on these giant video walls. It's better than a green screen because it doesn't require editing out of the background. The lighting cast on the actors is accurate, and they can adjust anything in the background in real time. Most of The Mandalorian was filmed on one of these virtual production stages called the Volume. But this is more than just a big curved LED billboard. It's an optical illusion. They put trackers on the physical camera so that the perspective of the virtual scene adjusts to the perspective that the camera is looking had it been a physical set. It's quite incredible. And here's a synopsis of how we're leveraging exactly that today. By walking in and sitting in the correct spot of this box, all the videos on the walls will align to dissolve the confines of the box into a limitless expanse of digital space. The transition between our reality and the reality of the images is as close as we can get to seamless. Multiple people can experience the same thing at the same time, and you can do it with your coffee still in hand and your perm still intact. Perfect for a presentation to a client, an immersive exhibit, displaying a point cloud. I had to bring this back to historic preservation somehow. Point clouds, yes. Or a critique from your professor. Here's a quick diagram of how it works. One would think, well, this doesn't look so hard. Just render 3 cameras at 90-degree increments for the 90-degree walls. But the viewer would have to be standing in the exact spot of the camera at the center of the volume for everything to align. What if you wanted the viewer to be able to move around the space? What if the screen is 15 feet tall? Would you put them on a ladder to get them to 7.5 feet? It's unpractical. That's where the wizardry of this technology comes in. With some code I can't explain, I only know how to use, you can define exactly where in the volume you want the perspective to align. And the virtual screens of the box will then refract the light paths that are being sent to that defined point to a virtual camera that can capture the world as simple 2D planes instead. So you'll see when these 3 videos are laid flat, the perspective looks warped. This is the export from software like NDisplay or Blender that can accomplish this type of trickery. But when you fold them in and stand in the correct spot, your reality extends. If you've seen the students' built version of one of these boxes, you can probably tell there's a severe lack of clarity and contrast to the projection. I had no idea you could even get a projector for $80, but they pulled it off and it looks great. Gabby Bustos is going to get into that later, as this was done on a razor-thin budget. But here's a video from a few weeks ago at a visit to Plum Media in Milwaukee. This is on their multi-million-dollar 70-foot LED video wall. It's a giant thing. With just the size and resolution of their wall, I was able to pre-render some videos and first try create this same effect as on the set of Mandalorian that I showed you a few slides prior. So we know what we're doing. There's just a lack of resources. So please go take a look after this. The students put a lot of work into it and they picked this rendering up pretty quickly as well. They have a few projects to show. I'm not going to ruin this anymore. They're going to talk about this later today. There is also this short I made that should be cycling through the video loop that I started as soon as I learned about this stuff. And it doesn't have much to do with historic preservation, but it really lets this system rip as you travel through the same space in 12 completely different worlds. I had fun making it. I think it looks cool. In summary, all of what I've shown you is cross-discipline from the world of CGI and visual effects, my second passion. CGI has grown to be this titan of an industry that has unfortunately lapped our industry standard rendering software in terms of technical capability about 100 times over. We have some catching up to do. It's a little embarrassing when you can turn on an over 10-year-old movie and almost every establishing shot is more atmospheric than your average architectural render. The subject may have something to do with it, but anyways, my point is this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of tools that are considered industry standard in other fields, and we can learn from them. We don't have to stay in our own lane. You hear this a lot from architects when having the inevitable conversation about software, Revit versus ArchiCAD, Enscape versus Lumion, and often the defense is, on either side, the defense is, it's not the tool, it's how you use it. But don't let your pride get in the way of watching some tutorials on YouTube, because in the digital age, your technical skills should constantly be evolving to avoid obsolescence and to innovate what we call the mother of all arts. So thank you all for listening. I'll be around, I think around 5 p.m. to answer any questions. Otherwise, I would defer to Gabby and her tremendous team. Back to you, Matt. Thank you.
Well, yes. All this technology that John have been talking about is fascinating. So our next step was how we made this happen with a limited budget, and how we can create a canvas where all this fantastic technology can be displayed. So that's what I am going to talk about today. And before going ahead, I want just to brag about the super team. I think that each one of the members in the Institute and the students and yet collaborators have an important and transcendent role in our achievements. So I just want to take you to Mars. So what you are about to see is a virtual tour to Mars. So it's literally the students I am going to go a little bit ahead on the video, maybe. There you go. So the students are going to get in the bus, and they are going to start touring around Mars. And for those students, actually they were there. They went to Mars. How this works is all the screens on the windows in the bus has projections and interactivity. And they were projecting by the way how the bus was driving by the city. So my point with this is we have been talking about extended reality, about new technology, but actually it's a reality. Because in the moment that you are experiencing that, you are internalizing that moment and you are creating knowledge. So it's not the same, say the students, let's learn about Mars, that say the student, let's go to Mars. So I think that this is a fascinating example on how we are translating this idea to our studios and architecture. Now, just elaborating about the context on this technology. We are talking about extended reality, and I just want to clarify that extended reality is not just virtual reality. It's the representation of many types of realities that technology allows us to experience by enhancing perception. So the X actually stands by the variable of many type of realities. So it's virtual reality, augmented reality, immersive technologies, VR 360 tours. Out of all these options, we decided to explore in our studios virtual reality, augmented reality, merged reality, and immersive technologies. So here is the big difference between all of this. So with virtual reality, we are within the VR headset. We need the VR headsets. We need sensors, as you see here, that tracks the body, and we feel totally immersed in the space, and it's computer-based space. In augmented reality, we bring the digital creation to our physical world, and we need to visualize it through a cell phone or a tablet. In merged reality, we overlap both. We bring the digital design to our physical environment, and we actually interact with that virtual model. However, how all this digital media is affecting our perspective and perception of the space? How can this push us to understand a space differently? How can this push us to do neuroarchitecture? So we selected immersive reality in this experience. So with immersive reality, skipping the app, what we want is to go to a next level of immersion and interaction and creating a new perspective to record knowledge by understanding the space with all our body. Okay, this is a bunch of apps. So the immersive technology is important because it empowers the space perception on real scale. Empower cognitive knowledge and cognitive emotional dimensions of architecture. So cognitive knowledge is when you are learning about something with all your body, not just by reading, not just by hearing, but you are moving it. You are experiencing with all the senses. And cognitive emotional is when that creates an impact, emotional impact that helps you to, our brain record that experience. Empower neuroarchitecture. Eliminates device barriers, like John was saying, right? Some people is just not, don't get a friendly interface with the headsets. There's so many recommendations about user interface, and it's deeply immersive. So we literally are within the space. It creates a sense of presence. It's engaging, it's interactive, and enhance learning and training and communication. So we decided to create Parallax. So Parallax is a transformable and immersive space. It's developed by using immersive technologies and implementing interactive and transformable design strategies. So this is an installation, and I just want to point this installation because it reflects the movement and the use of different senses. Visual, lights, effects, and the way how when the body moves, also the environment responds. So parallax is actually the meaning of parallax is described as the apparent shift of objects when viewed from different angles. This project becomes the embodiment of this concept by allowing the users to view images and videos from many angles, allowing them to be completely immersive. So what is different about parallax and other extended immersive technology boxes? Because this is transformable, interactive, and itinerant. So for example, that was a spectacular experience we have in Plume Media, but it's not something that we can bring here, or it's easy to install, or it's easy to transport. So as a consequence of the XR Transformable Studio, we decided to create a strategy to make it assembly in hours and in a way that we can bring it to many places. So it's low cost, it's modular, it fits in small spaces, as you will see soon, and it's transformable and assembly in hours. So our mission basically was make this a friendly version and a pilot project to develop and display the project of our students, the project of history preservation, and enhance architectural learning. How are we going to make this, right? How? So this was the strategy. We divided the research in 3 phases. In the phase 1, what we wanted was proof of the concept. So we did our first immersive technology box in 1 month with $5,000, and it works. So it is light. It was assembly in 4 hours yesterday, and 2 hours to calibrate the projectors. And we use whatever we have available. We use gator board, wood, and all the pieces were actually designed by our students and 3D print to assembly and disassembly the full frame structure. So this is how looks parallax. All this system, I don't know if you can see, no, you can see. So all this system is like a sandwich panel and have those like connection pieces that allows us to unassembly and actually change the shape. And what you see here is part of John Everett's video. And these were some of the phases, first with how this we work with closed throw projectors, and how it's working right now is with regular like long throw projectors. And then basically what we did was identifying all the pieces and how to design it in a way that students can assembly quickly and actually reconfigure it if needed. And we did a short manual about how to do it, and Eric was one of our star designers, and he talked about 30 to 40 minutes to train the students, and then assemble this here yesterday. And this was the process for phase 1. So design and 3D print all the connectors, then put it together. Once we put all the main structure, we put the gator board as the word slide strategy. And in a month, we already have all the structure with the system to hold and project with the projectors. This was our testing video, and it was when we have the draft for John Everett video. And actually, we were able to see what we were seeing in Plume Media, but with way low resolution. And our next target is to get better resources. So phase 2, what is next? What we want is to develop the structure and create boxes that allows to put all the computers and the system inside, and of course get better projectors, 4K laser projectors that allows a way higher quality on the projection We want also to include 2 more projections, top and bottom, to create the full sense of this immersive space. And in phase 3, we want to explore interactivity. Because until now, many of the immersive technologies experience are contemplative. But to approach a higher engagement, I think the team conclude that interactivity is a must. As you see in this example, with this strategy using sensors and in some cases also interactive screen, we will be able to, even without touching the panels, interact, move, or with touching sensors, we can create or generate new images. And that's our phase 3 dream. Possible, our intention is also to have in the floor platform interactivity and sound, because we want to explore all about multisensory XR. So there are some towers that will allow change temperature, wind effect, smell. So we will be interactive mode. It will be full quality visual and graphics. We will include all the senses to understand and learn from the space. This is another example of how we can include interactivity to generate changes. Cloud is actually one of the industry that was working with Mandalorian production. If you arrive to this point, then the projectors are not needed no more. Or we can include projectors inside and interactive screens outside. Now, imagine traveling to historic places without public access and experiencing them interactively on real scale without a VR headset. Imagine reviewing your architectural design proposal and modifying it in a room that allows you to make changes with touch sensors. Imagine seeing an interactive with urban scenarios and navigating them virtually as you were in the actual city. Imagine being able to transport your emotions to a surreal world where you are the protagonist. You imagine it, and we will make it happen in Parallax. Yeah, thank you.
Are there any questions? So we have the prototype for Parallax in the room that is just down these stairs in the room to this side.
Over there.
Yeah.
So downstairs, down there, so we have a prototype of our building, of our structure. It's working as best as it can. We've again, being version 1, we ran into some snafus, but again, that's what happens when you test these things out. Basically, like I said, the nice thing we learned about these snafus, and we know how to improve it in the future. And like I said, I believe that we did pretty impressive within a month to come up with, basically the design was, our 2-person team can actually assemble this without actually, because the Plume's interactive thing, that took weeks. Now, I've seen these other things at art museum stuff, and that also probably took about a week to set these fancy LED type setups where you can interact with and all this other stuff. So at which point, basically last night, yes, Eric, and he was able to get a couple other students. He actually had a couple extra helpers, and it was easy very quickly that we should actually assemble it. So basically, the design was that Gabby and myself can actually assemble it. So you can see, I'm not, we can actually put this thing together and then actually put on a very nice demonstration in an immersive environment on a budget. So
I'd really like to just thank my unsung heroes, Gabby, Chrissy, and all the students that worked with them. I don't know what's going on. They're like, well, anyway, we need some stuff. All right, I'll order it. How much money are you spending? Oh, okay, just a second. Yeah, we can do that. Can you do it? I call it the Home Depot solution. You know, we don't have a lot of money. What can you get that's cheaper and still do the job? And they do it all the time. And they're really good at it. And then I walk in one day, and a miracle has happened, and you guys do it all the time. And I'm just so blessed to have such a great team.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Thank you, William.